He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates the men and women in making coastal Mississippi such a great place to live, work, and play. Thank you for listening on 103.1 or on your favorite podcast, SuperTalk Gulf Coast Facebook page, or the SuperTalk Mississippi Facebook page, or the SuperTalk Mississippi YouTube page, or at SuperTalk TV at supertalk.fm. We really appreciate you tuning in. We're trying to be there however, whenever you want to listen to us, and we really appreciate the growing number of listeners to Coast and SuperTalk Gulf Coast. We really appreciate it. Hey, listen, we're making incredible progress in America as it relates to the vaccine, and as you can hear from the guests I'm having, we all kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel. We don't see, is that maybe the light at the end of the tunnel? We see a light at the end of the tunnel, and we still have to, be diligent. And we're, as you could see from the most recently reported numbers, 21 states still reported an increase in the number of cases. So we got to be careful as we relax our restrictions. We're going to talk a little bit more about that today in just a second. 2.5 million people have been a day are getting the vaccine. That is incredible, and so we're making good progress there. But the 7-day moving average, according to Johns Hopkins University, as of last Friday, was 54,666 cases. So we're not out of the woods yet. Dr. Fauci's been saying, along with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, that it's much, much too soon to declare victory. We just got to get everybody vaccinated. I think one of the most important things is that if we get everybody vaccinated, then it's hard for the vaccine to mutate. It can't mutate if it can't find a host, and I think really important for us to think about. There are some new variants out there, and you've probably heard about those new strains of the virus. About 30% of the cases in America now are probably the UK strain. Dr. Fauci also added that the number on that one, incidentally, is B117. That particular strain has been reported in 94 countries and detected in 50 jurisdictions here in the United States. So we've got work to do, but the goal here is just get the vaccine. I had a great conversation with Dr. Conger, the infectious disease doctor from Memorial last week, and he said that the government's missing something. There should be a reward attached to getting the vaccine. And what he says is, get the vaccine, lose the mask. And after watching this you probably saw it, this exchange between Dr. Fauci and Senator Rand Paul last week, where Rand Paul was simply saying, if you get the vaccine, you don't need it, right? And Fauci was not really directly answering the question, and he talked about the variants and whatever. It made me want to do a little of the investigating, and I actually found a really good story that was done by the BBC, and I want to kind of give you the rundown on it. It says that early lab results on the vaccine that was developed by Pfizer says that it can protect against the new variants, maybe slightly less effectively, but keep in mind, it is incredibly effective a vaccine. There are two new coronavirus vaccines that are to come out soon. One is called the Novavax, and the other is called the Janssen, and they also appear to have protection as well. A new one that we've heard about, it's over in Europe now, that soon we may see it in America. The Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine team suggests also that it has a good protection against a UK variant, maybe slightly less against the South African variant, but the point is that it has some protection. And then early results on the Moderna say that they also have protection, maybe less so, against the South African variants as well. But the bottom line is that we are, in all of these scenarios, the known variants, these vaccines protect us against them. And there are going to be new variants that come along. And I think that's why the vaccines are constantly going to have to be redesigned and tweaked and all the things that we read about. But the bottom line is, if you get the vaccine, unless a business says you have to wear the mask, or unless you're in a situation where there's been some kind of government order that says you need to wear the mask, you're safe not having a mask. And, that's what I'm seeing. But we'll hear more about that from our guest today, Lee Bond, who's the president of Singing River Health Systems. He's a good friend of mine, a great friend of the show. And let me start with this. I got my vaccine up on Community Road at the Garden Park location, and my wife had been through there, and she'd kind of given me a heads up that, man, you're going to be amazed at how efficient it is. Not only was it efficient, but they even offered me a sausage biscuit. Now, I didn't take it because I was fasting in the mornings, but man, I bet you hear incredible feedback about the process you guys have put in place.
We are, and it's a testament to our people, Ricky. We wanted to really have a good, smooth process so people would be encouraged to get the vaccine, make it as easy as possible. And we like we do with everything, we want our service to be the best, the absolute best service possible. And we learned a little bit from how they do it at Chick-fil-A. We were trying to one-up them a little bit. That's why we threw in the biscuit or a cookie later. But no, it's been a great process, and it's very fast. We've got it down to where in some cases you can make it from the time you enter the property to the end of the line in under 7 minutes. So you can't really ask for more than that, I don't think.
That's really incredible. It reminds me when I think our state's doing a terrific job now. In the beginning, you and I talked about this, and they were a little bit too focused on the health departments, and certainly there was a little skin in the game for the hospital. You urged was for the hospital to engage in a really big way, because you guys did this. And, and again, we weren't critical because those were the early steps. But what happened after that is slowly but surely hospitals were involved in the process in a much bigger way. And, the rest is kind of history. The governor is a numbers oriented guy. So once he got focused on the numbers, it was easy for him to determine that there's a great mix between a public-private partnership here that can get us to a place where we're leading the nation. And, he's following the numbers, and that's essentially what has happened. That's the best read on it you've got too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and absolutely. We want to be critical of the state or anything, but we did say, get these vaccines in our hands and we will get them out. This is what we do. Let us do what we do, and we've done that. And I think it's been great that the state has had their own resources. The National Guard has helped. It's I think a testament to everybody working together to do what it takes to get people vaccinated. So we're very happy with the process.
So Lee, is your team involved in the efforts at the Coliseum as well?
No, we are letting the state handle that. We talked, us and Memorial and the state talked, and they had enough resources from the state. They were able to handle those independently themselves. And that's going fine. The more places you have for people to get vaccinated, we think the better. So we think it was good to deploy everywhere we could.
Yeah, you heard my conversation with Dr. Conger, Nicholas Conger. He's an infectious disease doctor over at Memorial. And he's been a great friend to the show. He's such a practical-minded guy. And as you know, my politics, I lean a little conservative. I'm in the middle with most Americans. That's the reality. And it's been crazy watching, and Dr. Conger feels the same way, the politicization of things like the mask and the coronavirus in general. But what he said, you heard the point, and I think you had heard this before we even talked today, that he said that we're missing the reward, that the reward should be lose the mask if you get the vaccine. Where do you stand on that?
I agree 100%. The pathway to no masks is the vaccine. And I think it sends mixed signals when you got the government saying, wear a mask, wear 2 masks. Really, there should be an effort instead to say, look, if you get vaccinated, you can get out of the mask. I think it's been proven now that if you get the vaccine after the period, you might get it if you don't wait a little while. It's not effective the minute you get the shot. But if you wait the required time and you are fully vaccinated with your second dose, the odds of you getting the coronavirus are almost zero. And so the pathway to no masks absolutely is vaccinations. And I think that's what we should be pushing instead of, you're going to have to wear a mask potentially to infinity. People are not going to accept that. And it's also not proper science, in my opinion.
Lee, what's a little concerning about the approach that Dr. Fauci's taken as it relates to this is he's saying that there may be unknown variants out there, and we should be concerned to take that approach. We'll never take the mask off. I'm not. That's not a political statement, and I'm not trying to be overcritical here. I'm just saying, what's the clear message to Americans? What's the clear message to Mississippians as it relates to the vaccine. I don't think that Fauci's doing a good job of nailing down the reality around that.
Right. I think he might have been backed into a corner because to say that, well, what about these new variants? What about a completely new pandemic of some other sort that we don't know about? What if, a foreign country bombs us? The future is unpredictable. We have to go based on what we know. What we know is the science says that if you get vaccinated, that you have an almost 0% chance of not only getting the coronavirus, but also of spreading it. And so I think that really needs to be focused, and it really hadn't been. As you mentioned, there's too much it's really become a political issue, and people are on the far left or far right. They need to be a little more in the middle and use common sense, quite frankly.
Why don't we do this? Let's do this. I want to make sure we don't lose that point. So when we come back, we'll talk about the politicization of the coronavirus to some extent, and then shift gears and see what the latest is at Singing River Health Systems and the way that the coronavirus, the pandemic, has really revolutionized the way that healthcare systems will operate going forward. We'll be back with Lee Bond, the president of Singing River Health Systems, after this.
Coast Vue on SuperTalk 103.1 is brought to you by J. Allen Toyota on I-10 exit 38 Gulfport. See all the incredible inventory at allentoyota.com. And remember, when you think Toyota, think J. Allen Toyota.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here at I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. I have Lee Bond, the president of Singing River Health Systems, with us today, and kind of if there's a theme to the show today, it is get the vaccine, lose the mask. It should be that clear. I don't know why our government's making things so gray and foggy, and I don't get it. But I'm sure there's a political reason for it. And the politicization of the pandemic has been hard to watch, hasn't it?
It has been tough from day one. Again, right now is a new pinnacle. It's a shame, but it's been that way all along, Ricky. And I think I just saw recently, just a couple of weeks ago, people talking about, we haven't done a good job in America overall because of the number of deaths and all of this. And, the fact is that we have more virus in this country because we are a very productive country. Our gross national product far exceeds any country in the world. And based on that, we should have more cases. And so it's a shame that people are so divisive right now and not more moderate to understand that, yes, you don't have to be a mask Nazi or an anti-masker. Respect the differences in how people feel. Focus a little more on the science and a little less on the political side and the conjecture. And I think we'd all be in a better place. Remember the old adage, united we stand, divided we fall. We need to remember that a little bit more right now, more than ever.
I agree. And just one other little anecdote. I was at Home Depot over the weekend picking up some pool supplies and stuff. And they don't necessarily require a mask, but I put one on anyway. I've had a vaccine. I put one on anyway, just because I looked at about 50% of the people had masks on, 50% didn't. But I just wanted, if I'm near somebody, I want them to know that I care about them. And I want them, if I'm out in public in that kind of situation, I don't want them to worry about me, because you still have a lot of people out there saying, why don't doesn't that person have a mask on? I wish we had a wristband or something we could wear to say, hey, look, see, I'm good. But, it's just the way it is, that's just the way it is. So anyway, we'll switch gears. The pandemic.
We have a wristband here. Your vaccine, never give you one of these.
We need one for sure. But look, here's the thing. The pandemic has forever changed healthcare system in America, and you're still probably trying to figure that out. And as I said on many shows, just like 15 years after Katrina, we're still thinking about how did Katrina change coastal Mississippi. Think about the pandemic being a Katrina to the world. 15 or 20 years from now, we still may be talking about the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic. You agree with that?
Yeah, I think we probably will. It certainly will be an interesting study one day in the annals of history, what happened with this coronavirus, and from the science portion to even the political portion and the emotional toll it's taken on people. It's quite an event, and we've still got to figure out how to navigate the rest of the way through it. There's a big light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not 100% through. For example, we've still got 15 patients between our three hospitals that are in the hospital with the coronavirus. Fortunately, only one on the vent right now. So we're a lot better off than we were, but it's still here. And the pathway to getting past it is we've got to get a higher percentage of people vaccinated. And we're doing everything we can. You can still call our hotline, the 809-5555. We can get you in today in Pascagoula or Friday in Gulfport. We're migrating to have it in our clinics. And the state health department and other hospitals are still working hard to get it out there. But when you think about the vaccine, what you need to think about is maybe not just yourself. That's one of the things that I think will be written in history. It was a period of selfishness. People weren't selfless enough. And get the vaccine so that you protect other people, the elderly that you might interact with, your own family, those who might have comorbidities who are vulnerable. Do it for others, not for yourself. And I think that's something that we really need to focus on, is to try to be more selfless in this country.
Yeah, I saw a report the other day. Was somebody went into a town in Oklahoma City where they couldn't find anyone in that city that was getting the vaccine. And you may have heard me in my conversation with Dr. Conger. I went to pick up some plumbing supplies, and the young man on the other side of the counter said that, it takes 6 years to test a vaccine. There's no way I'm going to get a vaccine. I said, man, you need to do reading on RNA technology and just the whole process of how they're checking to make sure that the vaccines are safe. It's a whole different approach than it used to be, and they are safe. They're much safer than if you get the coronavirus. Believe me.
Absolutely.
What's your thought about that?
I couldn't agree more. I think that the fact is that if you've watched someone get the coronavirus, and worse yet, if you've watched someone die from the coronavirus, which I've seen, there's people that I know that I've watched people die from it. I've watched people struggle through it. Some success stories, miracles of people coming off the vent and making it. And you look at what they've gone through, whereas from the vaccine, you've had zero serious material documented evidence that it really causes a serious problem with anyone. The vaccine is millions of times safer than getting COVID. And again, Ricky, I go back to the reason to get the vaccine is be selfless. Think about those nurses who still are struggling with patients, still dealing with this, still dealing with the coronavirus. Think about what they've went through. And if you care about your family and other people one bit, you'll look at the science of the vaccines and you'll take the time to go and get it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so within the last couple of times we talked, you had brought in a garden park into the family of hospitals. And, again, that's where I got my vaccine, but it felt like it got assimilated into your overall, system pretty rapidly. But how's that going?
Yeah, so we're still working on it. We've got a long way to go. We knew that when we invested in it. It's a great property, a phenomenal location right there off I-10. Couldn't ask for a better spot and a better, just a beautiful facility. And we are continuing to work on the service that you've heard about people and experience there. That's our mark is service and quality. And that's why we partnered with Ochsner. They believe in A-rated, high quality centers of excellence, and we do too. And so that's going to be our focus there at Singing River Gulfport, just like it is at Pascagoula and Ocean Springs and everywhere in between. And we're going to just absolutely not lose our focus on quality is job one. We want to do it with a level of service that is unique, something that healthcare is typically not that great at. We want people to have a great service experience with us in addition to experiencing the quality. And I think that what's happening in the early steps there in Gulfport are showing that we're going to be able to do it. So we're excited about the future.
That's That's awesome. So how's your team doing?
They're doing good. I mean, people are still tired. Like I said, we're still dealing with much lower than, we were at 90 something at one point. So to be down around 15 is a much better place, but it's still not easy. And we also have people that are working extra days to get the vaccinations done. I'm very proud of them for doing that, for making the sacrifice to do what it takes to get people vaccinated. But they're doing good. I mean, the morale is strong. They know that they're making a difference. They're, improving health and saving lives and meeting the mission. And there's some personal reward in that. But we're sure looking forward to the day where we can get back to normal and focus on, screenings for normal things. I think we're starting to see people, fortunately, come back in for regular wellness checkups. It will help keep people from having strokes and heart attacks and detecting cancer earlier. So that's where we're wanting to really shift to meet our mission, is to get people to come and do those screenings and make sure they're taking care of themselves. Because let's face it, a lot of people during this past year were scared to go anywhere, including the doctor, and they've let themselves go a little bit. So we're looking forward to getting back to a world where we're doing a little bit more of preventative maintenance on the healthcare side.
Yeah, I know some people who fit that description that really needed to go see a doctor. And these are people who are close to me, where I had to really urge them and remind them that probably the safest place is the hospital. So, I think when proclamations like we're not going to do elective surgeries that require hospitalization, and the numbers, how many people are in ICUs, it scared people. It made them kind of get inside their shell. Are you seeing people a lot more open now to doing the things they need to do?
Getting a little better. We're having to encourage folks just a little bit. So we still see people a little more than normal come in where they've let themselves go just a little bit too long, particularly with heart issues is probably the main area. And with screenings, everything, colonoscopy, things like that. And we're seeing a little bit of pickup. We just opened the cath lab there in Gulfport last week, actually did our first case at Singing River Gulfport. Dr. Quintana and I think Dr. Shaw and several others are doing procedures over there already, and Cunningham, Tassan, and others are ready to go. So that's exciting because, we'll be able to do catheterizations that'll keep people from having a acute MI, a myocardial infarction, a heart attack. So we are seeing people start a little bit more, but I think it's a little slower than probably all of the world would like. So hopefully,
Dr. Conger talked about a particular case. He saw sees an infectious disease doctor for someone who had a circulation issue in their foot and had an infection and waited long and ended up having led to an amputation as opposed to something he probably could have fixed. And that's something to keep in mind for people who know people like that. Maybe you have some issues yourself. But we're coming. One of the final thoughts.
I will say, Ricky, tell people, now's the time. Get a checkup. Get the old school checkup. It's the smartest thing you can do. If you don't feel right, get a checkup. It's not going to cost you much, and it could save your life.
And for sure. Lee Bond, the president of Singing River Health Systems, a great friend to Coast Vue. Thanks for taking time. It's been great to catch up with you, and have a great day.
You're welcome. Thank you.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the Conservation Fund. Get the update on that. See you after this.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Thousands of Bulldog fans have subscribed to the Thunder and Lightning podcast. Have
Have you?
On each episode, Brian Haydad and Joel Coleman give you an inside look at your Mississippi State Bulldogs. The Thunder and Lightning podcast is free and available on demand at supertalk.fm and on your smartphone. Just search for Thunder and Lightning on iTunes, Google Play, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thunder and Lightning from SuperTalk, Mississippi, covering the Bulldogs like no one else.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive, fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi. Whether you're brand new to the DIY craze or a seasoned veteran, the Handyman Show has something for you. Buddy Slowick shares tips and tricks on everything from odd jobs to complete build-outs, from small home repairs to serious construction. So no matter if you're at the master carpenter level or not quite sure how to use a level, the Handyman Show answers your questions with a healthy dose of humor and some great music too. Saturdays, 10 to noon on SuperTalk Mississippi and on SuperTalk TV.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
He's the former president and publisher of the Sun Herald, and now he's on the radio. Welcome to Coast Vue with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast Vue. Get the vaccine, lose the mask. Seems like such a simple message. That's what Lee Bond, the president of Singing River Health System, agrees with, that Dr. Nicholas Conger, the infectious disease doctor from Memorial. But for whatever reason, maybe it's the politicization of the pandemic or whatever it is, we can't just be clear about it. It seems to me that that would be such an easy thing to say. And for whatever reason, our current administration doesn't want to say that. I don't get it. And maybe eventually we'll get there. Okay, now we're going to switch gears. You've heard me talk about the Conservation Trust Fund. That is a bill in front of the legislature as we speak. We're going to give you an update about where we are on that. But I've asked Alex Littlejohn from the Nature Conservancy and James Cummins, who is the president or the executive director for Wildlife Mississippi, to again and join me today. And what I want to do, guys, is give people an update about what it is we're talking about. What's the latest? I've got my own point of view about all of this. We'll share that as we get through this. But good morning. How are y'all?
Great. Thanks for having us.
Good. It is another pretty day for sure. So, okay, James, give me a quick summary on what the Conservation Trust Fund is all about. Alex and I'll add some color to that. And then once we get done with that, Alex, I'll get you to give me sort of the latest on the situation. So, James, what are we talking about?
So first, it is the best place. It makes better the best places in our state if you're worried about COVID-19. There's no better place to social distance than the outdoors. So thanks for your last guest on that. But what it does is it diverts a percentage of sales tax on sporting goods, and it goes up to $15 million a year. I've heard the numbers higher, but it's only $15 million per year. And what it does is it puts it into a trust fund specifically, for outdoor stewardship activities in Mississippi. That's for parks, that's for trails, that's for new wildlife areas, it's for new, working with a variety of landowner types, really helping make what is so special in Mississippi, making it better and improving our quality of life.
And James, you've written extensively about this. You've written about the role that private lands play in the overall conservation effort. So, somewhere approaching 90% of the land in Mississippi is owned by private landowners. And as we've talked about before, we cannot be where we want to be as a state if we're not engaging all land in the conservation efforts that this could unfold. Now, the other point about the bill that I want to make sure we cover is it will lead to the ability to create significant matching funds. Talk about that for a second.
So if you look at last year, whether Alec with the Nature Conservancy or us or Ducks Unlimited, many of us fought for the Great American Outdoors Act. We fight for the Farm Bill. The Great American Outdoors Act is $9.5 billion. The Farm Bill is $6 billion a year. What is a problem for Mississippi? We're a very poor state, but we're very rich in natural resources. There's a tremendous amount of federal funds that are out there, and we're by good estimates, somewhere in the $40 to $50 million range that we don't have an opportunity to go after because we don't have funds. Mississippi is one of only 2 states in the Southeast, Mississippi and Louisiana. Leave it to us to be last. We're trying to not be last. We hope Louisiana's going to be last. We're one of 2 states that don't have a trust fund. So states like Arkansas, they have $45 million in their trust fund annually. We're asking for a third of that. They have less population than Mississippi has, but they're able to go after these federal funds, and take $1, turn it into $4, and we just can't. We can't do that, or we have a very difficult time doing that.
Yeah, another example was Georgia. They took $20 million and made it $100 million. So it's a tremendous opportunity to make significant investments. And just to give you an idea, like in coastal Mississippi, for example, you might purchase some easements, for example, from private landowners that give us access to landlocked public land. That's actually an important issue that we could address. It could be installing water quality improvement practices to improve fishing in and along Mississippi Sound. There's a long list of things that could be included in this. Alex, where are we as it relates to the bill?
Well, a little over a week ago, the bill went to the Senate, went through 3 committees. As you know, it was triple referred and came out of those committees and passed out of the Senate with some significant changes to the bill as we knew it when it passed out of the House. The 2 most critical components that were made, or changes that were made to the bill, was one, it removed the diversion and said, hey, we'll appropriate the money, but offered no appropriation to the bill. And then also took nonprofits out of the groups that could participate. So essentially they took the very experts in the conservation world in leveraging these funds that act as catalysts to bring those funds back home to Mississippi. It took us out of the equation to be able to participate and help support Mississippi.
Yeah, I've been critical of the lieutenant governor in the way that he's handled this, and let me explain why I've been critical. When the bill came out of the House, it passed 117 to 2. Now, man, listen, in this divided world we live in, to get a bill that it gets that much support, kudos to the Speaker for getting it out. Kudos to the House of Representatives in Mississippi for seeing that this is needed. What they're saying is that we're going to leave a legacy for our kids and our kids' kids. What they're saying is if we don't do this now, every year we wait, we fall further behind. The reason why diversion is important is because we have to be able to plan ahead of time. If we're having to fight for money every year, then we can't continue to push to the surface the kind of projects that we can do that have significant matching fund possibilities to it that will put Mississippi in a really competitive position. We have to be able to do this. When the bill goes to the Senate, the Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hoseman, triple referred the bill. Now, what that means usually is that he's intending to kill the bill. And at the time when he did that, I called him anti-conservative. That's my belief. I know that he says he's concerned about, but there has been no more significant bill in the history of this state that will push conservation to a whole new level and make us competitive, but not only competitive with other states, but do things inside the state that would literally be transformative. I can't imagine that he would not have supported the bill. Then he made a tweak or two about how the appointments are made. I think as a general rule, people don't have issues about that. Took conservation out, took non-governmental organizations out, which are like organizations like Nature Conservancy, Ducks Unlimited. The bottom line is, he gutted the bill, and that's what came out of the bill. Now, look, here's the thing. He triple referred it. He got a lot of pressure. And then essentially the bill that came out of these three committees were literally his words. His three concerns were written into the bills. I don't even know for sure what the committees did, because he essentially wrote the bill to address his individual concerns about the bill. So that's what's out now. I watched him on Gallo today. He hasn't budged one bit. And one of the things, James, one of the points that he makes is that we need to invest this money in not in private land, but in public land. But he'll say that in one respect, but then over here he'll do something else that involves private. There seems to be a dichotomy. Talk to me about that.
So, obviously, and yes, I listened to SuperTalk this morning, over breakfast and coffee, and, he brought up our state parks, $147 million, but not one penny was put toward that in appropriations this year to try to address that. And look, I think the lieutenant governor talks about privatizing state parks. I don't know that we need to privatize them all. Maybe try one or two. Let's try an experiment, see if it works. But, saying on one hand you want to privatize parks, but on another hand, you don't want to deal with private lands or private conservation organizations. I can't work that out of my head. I don't understand that. Because I think the private sector is a real contributor, to this whole effort. So, just on the match, on park side, that's $1 in and $1 out. There's no big pot of money in the nation that we can go toward to take care of problems that Mississippi hasn't tried to take care of themselves. But there's what I think the Senate bill misses is the overall leveraging concept. If you look at all this money that's out there, a huge percentage of that is on the private land side. Yes, there's money on the public land side. We don't have a problem matching Pittman-Robertson funds. Look, Alec and the Nature Conservancy. I mean, look at just where would the coast be if we didn't have TNC or the Nature Conservancy working to create the Pascagoula Wildlife Management Area, or Phil Bryant, or us working to create the Sky Lake Boardwalk. And all this is done in partnership with the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. So private lands are a key, and nonprofits are certainly a key.
So it's a big deal. The process, certainly the bill got out of the Senate. It was again gutted. the intent of the bill was gone by the time it got out of the Senate. And now they're in the process of sort of trying to reach a compromise. And based on what the lieutenant governor said today, literally he hasn't moved at all. He's literally in the same position he was in before. All the conversations, all the debates, he hasn't moved. From my read on it, he hasn't moved an inch. So we'll see what happens next. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. We're at a critical crossroads here in Mississippi as it relates to conservation. We have a chance to do something transformative, and I'm praying we don't miss this opportunity. We'll be back after this break.
You can also listen live to SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1 on your Amazon Alexa devices. Once you've enabled the skill, just say, Alexa, open SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm. SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam, as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. Norbert, Elvis.
And I want to tell you about Presley. He had two different voices. He would sit and talk to me in a very calm, low voice. And we were at Stack's one night, and we were having lunch. We always had lunch at midnight because he was nocturnal. We sat there and we have our sandwiches, and at 1 o'clock, he looked up. He said, "Hey, Put, come on, it's time for me to go be Elvis." And he stood up, and a much deeper voice, he put on his macho voice. "Hey, fellas, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get cracking, okay?"
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, Amazon Alexa, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Mathews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to the Coast Show. Alex Littlejohn from the Nature Conservancy and James Cummins from Wildlife Mississippi, and we're having a conversation about the Conservation Trust Fund up before the legislature as we speak. We've got about a week to go to close the deal on this, and if we don't, we'll talk about it if we don't here in just a second, because I think referendum, put it to the people and let them vote, is probably where we need to go with this. But before we go to that, let's continue the conversation. The key points, if you're listening to this and you care about conservation in Mississippi, the key points are these. You have to include private landowners, because we're not talking about improving, putting a pond in for somebody, and we're not talking about planting food plots for we're talking about substantive conservation efforts that could help the total state of Mississippi. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Secondly, we're talking about doing it in a way that establishes a fund that we can know that money is going to be there year in and year out, so that multi-year projects can come forward and we can fund them with an eye on the potential federal matching funds that could come with it. That's really, really important. We're talking about making Mississippi competitive again. And it seems like the entire conservation community really is fighting against one person in this effort, and that's the Lieutenant Governor of Mississippi. I mean, that's the way I see it. Now, Alex, what are we missing so far in this conversation?
Well, I think you've hit on all the key points. In Mississippi, it's all about being at the table, and it's all about transformative, being able to be strategic, not opportunistic. And Mississippi, as we know it, the companies Primos Hunting, Mossy Oak, Drake Waterfowl, they built the very foundation that we know as the outdoor industry today. That came from Mississippi companies, Mississippi's backyard. We also led the effort back in the 70s to show what a private nonprofit conservation group could do when partnering with a state entity. When we bought the Pascagoula Wildlife Management, what is now the Pascagoula Wildlife Management Area, that was transformative. That model was used across the nation. It's time for Mississippi to take its rightful seat at this table. And there's only one bill that does it, and that's the bill that passed out of the House 117-2. As simple as that.
That's a great way to say it. I mean, we're leading. We have these incredible entrepreneurial efforts in Primos and Mossy Oaks and Drake, and Mississippi. They're putting Mississippi on literally an international stage. Yeah. And as we've discussed before, we had a whole show focused on why this is an important conversation for Mississippi, because we have the ability, whether you're talking about saltwater fishing on the coast or duck hunting or deer hunting, some of the best hunting and fishing in the world right here in Mississippi. But what's happening is other states have established these funds and they're getting these matching funds. And as a result, Mississippi's falling farther and farther behind. There are a couple of examples just in the past week. James, why don't you point out, these are significant efforts just in the past week Mississippi would lose out on.
So, just a couple of potential projects that are out there right now. Obviously we're the city of Jackson is really struggling, with their water quality, for example, in having good, clean drinking water. Their efforts to work toward, preserving the Pearl River going into Ross Barnett, so that when they start treating their water, it's less expensive to treat because it's coming in cleaner. Both Alec and I, with the Nature Conservancy and Wildlife Mississippi, we're working to make sure our military bases around the state, that we're not being encroached on, so we don't end up losing those jobs and going else. They do a great job around Camp Shelby. We're working around Columbus Air Force Base. And every time you have an encroachment that is causing a problem that impedes the mission of that base, it puts Mississippi's jobs and our military bases at risk. Here's a great opportunity. If the conservation side doesn't turn you on, saving jobs like that should, but those are just two good examples, in my opinion, of projects that we can move forward with.
Alex, remind me and our listeners, the organizations who are involved in this coalition who are pushing so hard to make this Conservation Trust Fund become a reality.
Well, you've got the two of us here. You got Wildlife Mississippi and the Nature Conservancy, but you've also got Ducks Unlimited. You've got Delta Wildlife. You got the Foundation for Wildlife, Fishery, and Parks, and you've got Delta Council. And look, these are no fly-by-night outfits. These are people in this world, these organizations in this world, every day moving the needle for conservation, both in the state and nationally, and obviously TNC internationally, and Ducks Unlimited as well. I mean, it's not only the coalition, but if you look from the broad support that we've gotten from the NRA all the way down to the Boone and Crockett Club, I mean, the cast of individuals, organizations, and agencies that support this effort, I mean, it's pretty broad ranging and comes with some extreme credibility.
I answered the phone this morning about 8:30, and it was the National Rifle Association calling me and saying, "Hey, we've been seeing some tweets. What can we do to help get it through the process?" And I'm like, "Thank you for calling."
Well, I know from Will Primos on, we've had so many people who are active in this conversation, and it seems like a no-brainer. Why can't we get the lieutenant governor to change his position on this? I don't know, but here's the deal. If we don't change his position on it, we already know that the majority, well into the 70 percentile range of Mississippians support such a deal. We just ought to go the referendum route and get this thing done. But we're out of time for today. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Alex Littlejohn from the Nature Conservancy and James Cummins from Wildlife Mississippi. Appreciate you joining me today.
Thank you, Ricky.
See you guys, and have a great day.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show. Every day, we're driving the debate in America with the fastest moving, hardest hitting, most comprehensive fact-based commentary on the radio. We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth. Our show is a meeting place of ideas. We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk, Mississippi. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visit.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We are with the fabulous Norbert Putnam as he played on so many hit records, you can't count them, and produced for some of the biggest acts ever. We got to talk Jimmy Buffett.
One day at breakfast, he says, I started a new song. He says, about a night and a day in Key West, I played a bar and I got drunk, and coming home, I stepped out of my flip-flop, and I just kept going. I stepped on a beer can. And the next morning, I'm up, and I'm hungover, and I'm trying to make a margarita. I got some shrimp boiling. I can't find the salt. I said, Jimmy, I kind of like this. And he said, yeah, I think I'll call it Margaritaville.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on your local SuperTalk Mississippi station, and now on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices. When you listen to SuperTalk Mississippi, you become part of a statewide community, a community of knowledgeable, engaged, enlightened, well-informed, hard-working men and women just like you, all eager to see the Magnolia State grow and prosper. There may be some disagreement on how to get there, but the goal remains the same, for each Mississippian to reach their American dream. Thanks for listening and being a part of the conversation on SuperTalk Mississippi.